Get the straight talk about the good and the bad in the timeshare industry. TimeSharing Today.
Hi, this is Shep Altshuler, publisher of TimeSharing Today. We're continuing our reporting about the August 9th, 2018 board meeting of the Manhattan Club. We enjoyed interviewing owners Sandra and Steve Epstein, Stephen and Kathleen Cobra, and Rita Kap Lau, who was accompanied by her husband Jeffrey at the meeting. They shared their perspectives of the meeting and the value of their ownership. Let's first welcome Sandra and Steve Epstein from Watchung, New Jersey. Hi, Steve and Sandra. Welcome to the broadcast.
Well, thank you for having us.
Hi.
How long have you been owners of the Manhattan Club?
10 years.
About 10 years?
Yes.
In general, what would you say your experience has been over the years since you originally became owners?
Yeah, for us, it was more of a vehicle since we live very close by in New Jersey. After 9/11, it was very difficult getting back into the city. So this was actually a way for us to sort of get ourselves back into going into New York. And it served its purpose for us for at least 6 or 7 years. And we were very happy with the way that we were treated and the value that we got from it for the points that we had versus staying in the hotel. We were able to travel into many, many different areas in the country, many national parks, and it really worked for us. But now we're done and we want to move on, and this is the difficulty we're having.
Now, what is it that's causing you to want to move on?
Well, it was the corruption of the management or whoever was controlling the rentals, the bookings that you couldn't get booked. They just threw the owners under the bus and they collected all the money they possibly could and messed with the owners. And then they jacked the association fees up to an astronomical fee, which is, we could go anywhere with those fees in New York for the 3 days that we have in Manhattan, and we have RCI points. It's like the little guy got the screws put to him, and that's what happened to us.
So what is your feeling now?
Well, having this new entity being involved, I was misunderstood. I thought they actually bought the property, which they haven't. They've just bought some inventory. They're not interested in taking on more inventory at the moment. Our hope is that maybe they will be, but at least the suit is settled and that there might be a chance for us to sell the unit now that you have that availability. Because I still think it's attractive. It's still Manhattan, and for the right price, someone who wants to come to the city might pick it up. So that's kind of my hope. I don't hold out that it will happen, but at least it's better than it was before the suit was settled.
Well, we have a deeded property in New York that is worthless, and that was sold that down the line it could be resold at another time. That could that's absolutely false. So we're coming down to the reality that the little person gets screwed with again.
So do you feel now there probably is limited potential for your reselling? They're giving you an option. Have they given you an option just to turn back your...
Give it to charity or put yourself on a list that somebody might be able to let you go and not have to pay the maintenance and not get your credit messed up. See, they have a double hold on you.
So therefore, are you going to just continue paying the maintenance fees and using the property as you can until this whole thing settles down? Is that correct?
That's pretty much it.
And if the building were sold, do you feel you'd be entitled to get something back?
I would assume we would be. I mean, we have a deeded piece of, unquote, land in the city. We assume that would be the value.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences. Hopefully, we've been hoping that there'll be a positive outcome for the owners, and you just never know what might happen down the road. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. And now let's welcome Stephen and Kathleen Cobra from Ballston Spa, New York. Hi, Steve. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hi, Shep. It's great to be here.
It's good to see you, Kathleen.
Hello, Shep.
Thank you. Thank you for participating. Kathleen, how long have you been an owner of the Manhattan Club?
Since 2013, December of 2013.
Have you owned any other timeshares besides this one?
No, we always tried to avoid them like the plague.
Steve, what was your experience that led you to, come to this kind of a meeting, and since 2013, what was your general experience in being an owner at the Manhattan Club?
Well, I've always been content with just showing up and using our 4 days and using our RCI points, but of course there's been some litigation involving this organization, and since we live in New York State and it's convenient for us to come to Manhattan, we decided to attend a meeting just to see what went on in these meetings and see if any of our interests were being represented.
Would you say that, Kathleen, was your experience as an owner satisfactory? Did you feel you were getting good value?
Originally, I was very disappointed when we first signed up, and I tried to get our points and use them for my birthday, and they're like, oh, you have to make these reservations 9 months to a year to 9 months in advance. And so I was quite upset with that. And the first time, what they did for us was they upgraded us, and they gave us a really nice suite. But after that, I have religiously gone ahead and made my reservations a year in advance. But I am disappointed that people can go and stay here for a lot less money for the nights than we spend for just our maintenance fees. And they have $25,000 of our equity that we put in too, and it just doesn't seem fair. If they're going to rent out rooms to people, it should be for more than what it costs us to stay.
And do you, echo those sentiments? You love the place, you love coming here, but you just have not, been dealt equitably in terms of your involvement with the timeshare aspect of it?
Well, I can't say if I've been dealt poorly or not, but I am annoyed that for the $2,300 I pay a year in fees, I could take that $2,300 and have a really good time for a week in New York, rather than having sunk into a place where I only have $25,000 in equity.
Now, what do you think is ultimately going to happen to that equity? Are you concerned that it just may disappear?
Oh, definitely. And that was all part of the false advertising, I think, of getting us to buy into the unit. They were like, oh, well, this is Manhattan, and that's going to go up, and we have if you want to sell it, please ask us if we can buy it back from you before you sell it to anyone else. And so, yeah, we feel like we've been taken for a ride. I do love the Manhattan Club, though. It's a wonderfully run facility. It's beautiful. It's a great place to stay. But as Steve says, yeah, it's just disappointing.
You've got to get on a waiting list just to abandon your equity to them. That just blows my mind.
To maybe.
Have you ever sent any formal notice of dissatisfaction or complaint to them, or are you just kind of going with the flow right now?
Kind of going through with the flow. I did talk to someone about it, and I was given that name, Lynn O'Donnell, to put our name on a list if we wanted to just abandon it, but that's not really what we were interested in doing. And then I did call the Attorney General's office, and they got right back to me, and I spoke to someone this year, and he was like, look, if you're part of this $6.5 million or however many settlement there is, you should be getting some money in the next few months, and if you don't get it, that means you weren't part of it. So I'm wondering, who are the people that got that settlement, and why aren't, like, share owners, why haven't we gotten that? And I wasn't able to make that point during the meeting because there were so many people asking the same question over and over again, and then the guys who were up there running the meeting would take the time away from answering the questions and just kind of filibuster. So they must have spoken for at least 20 of the hour-long minutes that we had, just, I don't know, obfuscating, let's say.
The overall tenor of the meeting, was it contentious?
It was about what you would expect. I don't think there was a lot of hostility, but there was a lot of frustration on the part of the audience that they, I remember this one guy made this great statement, was this, what was that question you just avoided answering to me? Or well, before you go on and avoid answering another question, I'd like to ask you this one.
Right. So what was the takeaway? The meeting's over, you spent a couple of hours. What was the takeaway? What are you going home with? What are your thoughts?
The takeaway is, I don't really think I learned very much. It was a little bit of a waste of time. It'll be interesting to see what happens with blue-green, but it seems like people were pretty much uninformed about what's really going on, and how that the ownership is still the same as it was, and it will be for the next 3 years, and that yes, blue-green may, but right at the very end of the whatever agreement they sent us, at the bottom it said, well, this really might not happen in the long run in 3 years.
Well, I want to thank you very much for taking the time. We hope that there will be a positive outcome for the owners down the road, but time will tell what the outcome will be. Thanks so much. And now we're being joined by Rita Kap Lau from Rock Hill, New York. Hi, Rita. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hi. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Tell me a little bit about your experience as a timeshare owner. You own at the Manhattan Club, but you also own at other timeshare properties?
We own 9 weeks of timeshare, and we happen to like the idea of timeshare, and we're very happy with the Manhattan Club.
A lot of the owners that we have been in touch with, they've expressed frustration at the fact that they paid a lot of money for their timeshares and the maintenance fees are high, and then they have problems with getting booking availabilities, and that it's possible to rent timeshares through online travel agencies for less money than the maintenance fee. So how long have you owned at the Manhattan Club?
We've owned since about 2000, I think, 5, somewhere there, 2005, 2006, and we book way out in advance. And I know that maintenance fees go up because all our maintenance fees have gone up, and Manhattan is a very expensive place to own, and that's why it's so much more than our other timeshares, and we know it. That's Manhattan.
Would you say that after all these years, with the other complaints that the owners have that were valid, evidently there was an investigation, by the Attorney General, are you still?
Well, I think a lot of people assume, and which I assumed also when I first bought, that I could just pick up the phone and call and get a reservation. But I know, realistically speaking, even if you call up any hotel chain, places are booked up way in advance. I've come in from Europe and wanted to be here at a certain time in August. This is before I had this timeshare. And the Marriott Marquis was all booked up because it was the time when the tennis was happening here in the city. And so I stayed at the Sheraton, and it wasn't the same as if I was at the Marriott Marquis, but I needed a place.
So you are really a happy owner, and
I believe in timeshare, but I also believe that a lot of people have been given misinformation when they were purchasing, and you have to be very careful, because as far as I'm concerned, the people that sell timeshare are just as bad as car salesmen, and you have to be leery of what they're telling you.
Owners have complained that they feel that there's no value if they wanted to sell their timeshare.
Timeshare was never a good investment if you want to resale. It was buy it, use it, enjoy it. We have timeshare. Our kids don't even want it because they don't travel the way we did. People in this meeting said the same thing. So timeshare was not ever bought with the idea, wow, I'm going to make money on it. Some people have, because of certain locations and what have you, but I don't feel it was ever bought with the idea that this is an investment and I'm going to be able to get my money back.
One of the couples that I did interview said that during the sales presentation they were led to believe that the timeshare would increase in value and that they would be able to sell it.
I was not led to believe that.
Okay,
I wasn't.
Good. So you felt comfortable all the way through?
Yeah, I had the particular salesperson, and in any of the timeshares where I've purchased, I usually have had good salespeople, and sometimes I've gone on presentations and I'll ask a question that I know the answer to, and depending upon how they answer it, I know whether they're honest or not.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And this concludes this program on TST Broadcasting. At TimeSharing Today, your opinion really does count. Be sure to stay in touch with us on Facebook and by email at staff@tsttoday.com.